So this is module 9, technical and hardware, and we'll be concentrating on the hardware aspects of your laptop plus any of the peripherals. And first of all, I just want to remind you that there is a file, an ebook called Laptop Selection, and this is in the curriculum as module 9A, and you're free to download that and gives you some advice on the selection of a laptop, the issues around things like memory, hard drive space, and so on. So we'll be covering that in this section. We'll also be having a look at memory and how much memory you should have in your system. And then there's the size of your hard drive, that's the storage capacity, and how much space you need on your hard drive in order for that to be useful to you in whatever you choose to use your laptop for. Then we'll have a quick look at the mouse that you can use. We'll have a look at the router, and the router is one bit of hardware which is not actually connected to your laptop, but it's still important that you know how that works and how you can change or view any of the settings on it. Then we'll have a look at printers and scanners. They may be combined, they may be separate, and how you can connect those to your system. And then finally we'll have a look at the camera, and the camera that I'm using is the one that's included in my iPhone, and I'll show you how to access that on your system. And one thing to say about technical and hardware is that in your system there is a program called Device Manager, and Device Manager is not immediately available. I'll show you a way of getting into that, because what Device Manager does is allows you to configure, reconfigure, reinstall what are called drivers. And drivers are the bits of software that connect the hardware on your system through to the operating system, and so you can then actually use it on a laptop running Windows 10. So drivers are Windows 10 specific and hardware specific. So their job is to connect the Windows 10 operating system to whatever bits of hardware that you connect. So as an example, if you connect a printer to your system but it does not have the drivers for Windows 10, then the chances are that it will not work on your system, and so you will need to download the Windows 10 drivers and install those onto the system in order for that particular printer to be able to work. So as a quick interlude, let's have a quick look at bits and bytes and kilobytes and megabytes and so on. So a bit is either a 1 or a 0, and that's the language of computers. They either have a voltage or they have no voltage. It's like yes or no, black or white. So a bit is either a 1 or a 0. A byte is a combination of 8 bits. So the number of ways that you can write down a byte is, with 8 bits, is 2 for each of the bits, and so that's 2 times 2, 8 times over is 256 ways. And an example of the way that bytes work are the number of keys on your keypad. So letters, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, characters, etc. all have their own byte setup. A kilobyte is 1024 bytes. So 1024 is 2 times 2 times 2, 10 times over. So that is roughly 1000, and that is then used as 1000. So roughly 1000 bytes is a kilobyte. A megabyte is 1024 kilobytes. A gigabyte is 1024 megabytes. And a terabyte, which is probably the biggest one that you'll come across, is 1024 gigabytes. So files can be measured in all of those. You'll have small files will be just in the kilobyte size, larger files will be in the megabyte size, as is gigabytes, which would be things like videos, and terabytes is certainly a lot larger than you're going to encounter for a size of a video. But while we're talking about hardware, then memory is measured in these days in gigabytes, and certainly you'll need 4 gigabytes for memory, and probably and preferably about 8. And then hard drive space will be at least 500 gigabytes, and preferably again up to a terabyte in size. So each of these terms will be quoted, and so this is just a way of having a quick understanding of the terminology, and it's all connected to your 2 times table. So here is a quick video of my laptop, and there is part and parcel of it a keypad or a touchpad that you can use, but I prefer, because I've got big old fingers that don't like touchpads, a mouse which will connect into the USB port. So these only cost a few quid, and you may find those a lot more user-friendly than relying on the touchpad. This is a router, a Sky router, and this is the device that connects you to the internet, and most of the workings are on the back. So if we have a look at the back, you will see that the purple slot is where the cable from the internet connects, and the yellow slots are where you can connect Ethernet cables, and I'll show you those in a minute. Then also on the back you've got the name of the router, which is the one that will appear in Windows 10. It's got a password to connect it, and passwords are case sensitive, so this one is all in uppercase, so that's the way that it should be entered in. And then there is a PIN, and the thing about a PIN is that if you want to change your password, then you'll need to enter the PIN into your system in order to make that change. Then there's a reset button, which the thing can get snarled up from time to time, so that's on the back of the system. And then there is the power socket which goes into the mains. So on the other side of that, then you've got your lights and the thing which will tell you whether it's working or not, and this can go into a nice remote place in your house, and the laptop will then connect to this wirelessly using a wireless network card which is built into the laptop. So that's what a router looks like. And this is a piece of Ethernet cable, and the Ethernet cable, the end of it looks like so. One end will go into the router, the other one will go into a port on your laptop, and this little piece of cable is only less than half a meter long. These cables can be as long as 100 meters. So if you're having problems with your Wi-Fi connection, one of the solutions may be to run some cable from your laptop straight into the back of the router using a piece of Ethernet cable, which is also called UTP, or unshielded twisted pair. So it's Ethernet or UTP cable, same thing, same different name, that you will need. So we move on to printers and scanners, and there are loads and loads of different versions of these, but they all need drivers. Now some of these you can download over the internet. In fact, you can probably download all of them over the internet, but some of them integrate to a greater or lesser degree into Windows. So let's have a look in settings, and we select devices, and then we have printers and scanners, which we can then select. And the one that we've got which is live on this particular system is the Hewlett-Packard PhotoSmart, which is an inkjet printer. And if I select that and I go to manage, then I can access the printer and run test pages, run a troubleshooter if I need to. Printer properties will show what I can select, so I can share this printer on other machines on the network. Ports, don't need to worry too much about those. Advanced color management, security, device settings, none of those are anything which you need to pay any great attention to at the early stages until such time as things don't work properly. But this should pretty much work okay. So if we can okay that and come out of it, then printer preferences is another one, and we can select whether we want our print jobs to be portrait or landscape, print on both sides, yes or no, pages per sheet, and under advanced then it will take us back into the paper size, so we can select any numbers. I'm on A4, which is the UK paper size, and I can also print in grayscale, which means you're only using black ink rather than all of the coloured inks at the same time. So these are all the settings in a printer that I've got set up, and that's pretty much the same for any of them. And I got into this through Windows 10. And if I plug my iPhone into the laptop using the connector to the USB port, then I can find in Explorer the fact that I've got David's iPhone in there, which is coming up as internal storage. So this is a way of being able to access your photographs without using, in my case, iTunes. So there's internal storage, which comes in a folder called DCIM, and then there is a subfolder to that called 100 Apple, and within that then I've got a variety of photographs and video files. But because I've got iTunes running on this particular laptop, I can also access my iPhone through the iTunes interface, and on the menu bar you can see that I've got the little icon for my iPhone, and within the iPhone then I've got photos which I can access from here, and these get backed up into the iCloud. But that's all part and parcel of iTunes, which is the Apple Music, phones, films, videos application, which is specific to my iPhone, which is Apple. So that's two ways of getting into the photographs on your camera. If it's a non-Apple camera, then it will be the first way that you can access this particular record of your photographs, and then you can cut and paste and copy and paste the photographs onto your hard drive or into the cloud and put them wherever you like for future reference, organize them, and that is pretty much how you access a camera. So that's the end of module 9. We've had a look at laptop selection, and there is a PDF file that you can download from the courseware which will give you some ideas on how to make a laptop selection. We can have a look at memory and some of the bits and bytes and kilobytes and megabytes and gigabytes and terabytes that we use, the terminology that we use for measuring memory. There is then the same numbers being applied to a hard drive for your storage. Then we've had a look at a mouse, we've had a look at a router, we've had a look at printing and scanning, and we've had a quick look at a camera. So that's it for module 9. Look forward to seeing you all again in module 10.